It was a chilly morning in the city, the kind where the cold seeps through your coat and makes your fingers stiff. The streets were alive with the usual chaos of early commuters rushing to their jobs, cars honking impatiently, and the smell of freshly baked bread mingling with the exhaust from taxis. Amid this bustling scene, a man dressed in an impeccably tailored suit stepped out of a sleek black car. He was a billionaire, known for his vast empire of businesses and luxurious lifestyle. But today, he had taken a rare moment away from boardrooms and meetings to enjoy a walk in the older part of the city. He liked to do this sometimes, not for the thrill or the attention, but because it reminded him of the world beyond his glass towers and marble halls. As he walked along the narrow alleyways, he noticed something unusual. Near a row of dumpsters, a young girl, no older than 15, was rummaging through the trash. She moved with a kind of quiet desperation, her small hands digging through discarded food wrappers and broken containers, trying to find anything that could be of use. What struck him first was not her appearance, though her clothes were worn and her shoes had holes, but the intensity in her eyes. There was a fierceness there, a will to survive that made him pause. Most people in her situation would have been invisible, overlooked by everyone in the city, but he couldn't look away. He felt a sudden pull in his chest, a mixture of shock, curiosity, and an undeniable sense of responsibility. He stepped closer, careful not to startle her, and called out softly, "Hey, are you okay?" The girl froze, her hands clutching a half-eaten piece of bread she had found. She looked up, and for a moment her eyes were wide with fear. She wasn't used to being spoken to by someone who looked so well off, someone whose life was clearly worlds apart from hers. She muttered something under her breath, barely audible, but he caught the word hungry. Without thinking twice, he reached into his coat pocket and handed her a small bag of food he had bought earlier. "Here, take this," he said gently. "Eat something." For a moment she hesitated, unsure if this was a trick or if he expected something in return. But the hunger in her stomach was stronger than her fear. She took the bag, her hands trembling, and looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and confusion. He knelt down slightly to be at her level and smiled reassuringly. "No tricks. Just eat." She opened the bag carefully, revealing sandwiches, fruit, and a bottle of water. Her eyes sparkled with surprise, and then relief washed over her face. She took a bite slowly, as if savoring every morsel. And the billionaire watched quietly, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't pride in his wealth, or the satisfaction of giving it, was something deeper. A connection to the raw human struggle he rarely saw up close. As she ate, he asked gently, "What's your name?" She looked up, hesitant at first. "I don't really have one people use," she said softly. "But you can call me Lily." The name sounded fragile, yet somehow fitting for someone who had already endured so much in her young life. He nodded, trying to think of the right words. "Lily, it's nice to meet you. I'm not going to pretend I understand everything you've gone through, but I want to help. Can we talk?" She glanced around nervously, worried about being seen, about what might happen if someone from the authorities noticed her. But something about his voice, calm and kind, made her trust him, at least a little. She nodded slowly. He asked her about her life, but she was cautious, giving short answers. He learned that she had been on her own for a while, that she didn't have family to rely on, and that she had been surviving day by day, scavenging for food and sleeping in abandoned corners of the city. The billionaire listened silently, his heart heavy with the reality she described. It was hard to believe that in a city filled with wealth and opportunity, there were children like Lily struggling just to survive. When she had finished eating, he gently asked if she had a safe place to go. She shook her head. It was clear that she had been living on the streets for a long time, and the thought made him uneasy. He couldn't leave her there. Not after seeing her, not after talking to her. Something inside him insisted that he had to do more than just give her food today. "I want to help you find a safe place," he said, choosing his words carefully. "Somewhere you can sleep tonight and maybe get a fresh start." Lily's eyes widened. No one had ever offered her more than temporary help. She was used to being ignored or chased away. The idea that someone might care enough to help her beyond a meal was almost unbelievable. She hesitated, but something about the sincerity in his eyes made her nod. He took out his phone and made a few calls. By the time he was done, he had arranged a temporary shelter, one that could provide food, a bed, and basic care. He offered to take her there himself, and she agreed, walking beside him cautiously. On the way, he tried to keep the conversation light, asking about small things, her favorite foods, what she liked to do when she could, and if she had any dreams. Her answers were hesitant at first, but gradually she opened up, sharing fragments of her hopes and imagination, little pieces of herself that had been buried under years of hardship. When they arrived at the shelter, the staff greeted them warmly, though they were clearly surprised to see a man of his stature personally bringing a child in need. Lily looked around, eyes wide at the clean beds and the smell of freshly cooked food. For the first time in what seemed like forever, she felt safe. She turned to him, wanting to say thank you, but words seemed insufficient. She simply nodded, a small smile breaking across her face. As he prepared to leave, he knelt down again. "Lily, remember, you're not invisible. You matter. And I'll check in to make sure you're okay." She clutched the bag of food he had given her, feeling an unfamiliar warmth. "Thank you for everything," she whispered. He watched her walk into the shelter, feeling a strange mixture of hope and uncertainty. He didn't know how this encounter would change either of their lives, but he felt certain that it had. Something had shifted inside him. Inside her hand, it was a beginning. As he walked back through the city streets, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Her resilience, her courage, and the way she faced life despite every hardship haunted him in a way he wasn't used to. He had dealt with numbers, strategies, and businesses his entire life. But this was real. This was raw human life, and it demanded more than just money or influence. It demanded attention, care, and presence. By the time he reached his car, he knew one thing for certain: meeting Lily was not a coincidence. It was a moment that would change the course of both their lives. And as he drove away, he made a quiet promise to himself that he would not let this encounter be just a fleeting act of kindness. He would do more. He had to. And so, the billionaire's life, usually dictated by power, wealth, and status, began to shift. A seed had been planted, one that would grow into something neither of them could have anticipated. Starting with a simple act of noticing a hungry girl digging through garbage, and deciding with all his heart that he would act. The next morning, Lily woke up in the shelter to the sound of birds chirping outside and the soft hum of the city coming through the windows. The bed was warm, and for a brief moment, she felt a peace she hadn't known in years. She looked around, seeing other children and teenagers in similar situations. Some still asleep, some quietly eating breakfast. Everything was clean and organized, and the smell of fresh toast filled the room. For Lily, it was strange, almost surreal. To be in a place that felt safe and normal, she remembered the billionaire from yesterday and the kindness he had shown. Even now, she couldn't fully understand why a man with so much money and power would care about someone like her. But the memory of his eyes, calm and gentle, stayed with her, giving her hope. It was a strange feeling for someone who had grown up learning not to trust anyone too much. She quietly promised herself that she would try to trust, at least a little, and perhaps, just perhaps, allow herself to believe that things could get better. Meanwhile, the billionaire could not stop thinking about Lily, despite his busy schedule filled with meetings, phone calls, and endless business decisions. He found his mind drifting back to the alley where he had met her. The image of her small, determined hands sifting through trash and the vulnerability in her eyes haunted him. He had seen many children in need before, but something about Lily struck him differently. Perhaps it was her courage, or the way she had dared to survive on her own. Or maybe it was simply that he felt a deep responsibility to protect her. He couldn't ignore it. He decided to visit the shelter the next day to check on her and see how she was doing. When he arrived, the staff welcomed him warmly, recognizing him immediately. They explained that Lily had eaten well, washed up, and even smiled a little, a small but significant sign of trust. They led him to a common room where she was sitting quietly, drawing on a sheet of paper. When she saw him enter, her hands froze and she looked unsure. But he smiled gently, holding up the same small bag of food he had given her yesterday. "Hello, Lily," he said softly. "How are you today?" She hesitated, then spoke in a small voice. "I'm okay. Thank you," he nodded. "Good. I wanted to see how you were doing. Can we sit and talk for a while?" She slowly nodded and moved to a chair across from him. For a few minutes, there was silence, filled only by the quiet buzz of the shelter. Then he began to ask her about her day, and gradually she opened up, sharing little details about her life in the shelter, how the other children were, and what she had eaten for breakfast. She spoke with a quiet honesty, and he listened intently, never interrupting or judging. He had learned that true listening was a gift, and he wanted her to feel heard. After some time, he asked gently, "Lily, I want to help you more. Not just for today, but for the future. Would you like that?" Her eyes widened. She had never been offered anything beyond immediate relief. She had learned to survive moment by moment, never thinking that someone might care about her long term. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, I would like that," he smiled, feeling a sense of purpose he hadn't experienced in years. "All right, then we will figure it out together. I want to make sure you have a chance to go to school, learn new things, and have a safe place to stay. Step by step, we can work toward that." Over the next few weeks, the billionaire arranged for Lily to attend a nearby school affiliated with the shelter. The first day was overwhelming for her. She was shy and unsure, feeling out of place among children who had grown up in more stable homes. The teachers were kind, though, and patient, allowing her time to adjust. They noticed her intelligence and curiosity, even if she lacked formal education in some areas. She learned quickly, surprising everyone with her ability to grasp concepts. Faster than many students who had been in school all their lives, the billionaire continued to visit her regularly, sometimes bringing small gifts like books, school supplies, or art materials. But more than the items, it was his presence that mattered most. Lily began to trust him, feeling that he genuinely cared about her well-being. She shared stories about her past cautiously, speaking of the days she had spent alone, the hunger, the cold nights, and the fear. Each story seemed to make their bond stronger, and he listened without judgment, simply acknowledging her strength and resilience. One afternoon, as they walked together from school to the shelter, Lily stopped and looked up at him. "Why do you care so much about me?" she asked quietly. It was a question she had wanted to ask for a long time. He paused, considering his answer carefully. "Because I saw you struggling and I realized that someone like me has the power to help. But more than that, I think everyone deserves a chance, and I believe you deserve one too. You have a spark, Lily, a strength inside you that most people would never notice. I don't want to let it go to waste." She looked down, feeling a mixture of emotions she couldn't quite name: gratitude, disbelief, and a budding sense of hope. "I thank you," she whispered. The weeks turned into months, and slowly Lily began to transform. She learned to read and write more fluently, discovered a love for drawing and storytelling, and started to dream of a future she had never dared to imagine. The billionaire continued to support her, not just financially, but emotionally, encouraging her, guiding her, and sometimes simply listening when she needed to talk. Through this process, he too began to change. His life, once dominated by business and wealth, now had a new dimension: care, responsibility, a genuine connection to another human being. He found himself reflecting on his priorities, realizing that success was not just measured in profits or possessions, but in the ability to make a real difference in someone's life. One evening, as they sat together in the shelter's common room, Lily asked a question that had been on her mind. "Do you think I can really have a future? A real future, not just surviving?" He smiled, reaching out to gently touch her shoulder. "Yes, Lily, I don't just think it, I know it. You are stronger than you realize, and you have the potential to achieve things most people couldn't even imagine. We'll take it one step at a time, but I promise you, your future can be bright." Lily felt a warmth she had never known, a belief in herself that was slowly replacing the fear she had carried for so long. And for the first time in her life, she began to imagine a future where she didn't just survive, but thrived. As the days passed, the bond between them grew. They shared small moments of laughter, quiet walks, and long conversations. The billionaire realized that this connection, born from an alleyway encounter and a simple act of kindness, was transforming both their lives. And while the world outside continued its rush, they had found a space where trust, care, and hope could exist, building the foundation for a life neither of them could have imagined before that cold morning in the city. As the weeks went by, Lily began to settle into a routine. The shelter became more than just a temporary place. It was slowly becoming a home. She attended school regularly, her confidence growing with each passing day. Her teachers noticed a remarkable transformation. A girl who had once been quiet and withdrawn was now curious, eager to learn, and even willing to help others when she could. Despite her difficult past, Lily carried a quiet resilience, a spark that refused to be extinguished. The billionaire continued to support her in every possible way, but he understood that the most important gift he could offer was encouragement and attention. He knew that material wealth alone could not heal the wounds of a childhood filled with struggle. He spent his free time with her, walking through the streets of the city, visiting parks, and sometimes sitting quietly in the shelter, reading stories to her or listening to her talk about the smallest of things. In these moments, their bond deepened, built on trust, patience, and genuine care. One afternoon, after school, they walked together to a nearby library. Lily's eyes widened as she looked at the rows of books stretching to the ceiling. She had never seen anything like it. The billionaire watched her excitement, his heart swelling with the knowledge that she was finally being exposed to a world of possibilities beyond mere survival. She ran her fingers along the spines of the books, choosing one at random, and began to read aloud. Her voice was soft at first, but with each word, her confidence grew. He smiled, proud, not because of wealth or status, but because he could witness her growth and determination. "I didn't know there were so many stories in the world," Lily said, her eyes wide with wonder. "I never thought someone like me could read like this." He knelt beside her. "You can do anything you put your mind to, Lily. This is just the beginning. You're capable of so much more than you think." Lily's smile was shy but genuine. For the first time in her life, she believed that her circumstances did not define her future. The billionaire had shown her that kindness, attention, and opportunity could open doors she had never dared to imagine. And in return, her resilience, curiosity, and determination inspired him in ways he had never experienced before. One rainy evening, as they walked back to the shelter, Lily hesitated at the corner of a dark alley. She looked down at the puddles forming on the ground and shivered slightly. The billionaire noticed and offered her his coat, which she accepted with a grateful nod. She walked closer to him, feeling safer by his side. "Why do you spend so much time with me?" she asked softly. He paused, thinking about the question. "Because I care, Lily. Because you matter. And because I realize that helping you isn't just about giving things, it's about being present. It's about showing you that someone believes in you." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. She had never experienced such genuine care, and it overwhelmed her. "Thank you," she whispered. I don't know how to say it," he smiled warmly. "You don't have to say anything. Just live your life, learn, and grow. That's enough for me." Over the next few months, Lily's world expanded. She excelled in her studies, discovering a love for art, reading, and storytelling. She started to dream, imagining a life beyond the shelter, beyond the struggles that had defined her for so long. Her confidence grew, and with it her willingness to interact with others. She made friends at school and in the shelter, learning to trust again and to share small pieces of herself with the world. The billionaire watched her transformation with quiet pride. He realized that what he had thought would be a small act of kindness, a meal, conversation, a helping hand, had become something much larger. He was no longer just a benefactor. He had become a mentor, a guardian, and in a sense, a guide to a life she had never known was possible. One afternoon, as they walked through a park filled with autumn leaves, Lily suddenly stopped and picked up a small, bright red leaf. She held it up and looked at it closely. "It's so beautiful," she said softly. Even something so small can be amazing. He watched her, understanding the deeper meaning behind her words. Yes, Lily, even the smallest things can make a big difference. And just like this leaf, you're capable of adding beauty to the world in ways you can't even imagine yet. She smiled, feeling a warmth that had little to do with the weather. I want to be better, she said quietly. I want to make a difference too, he nodded, a sense of satisfaction filling him. And you will. Step by step. You'll find your path, and I'll be here to guide you when you need it. The months continued to pass, each day bringing new challenges and new victories. Lily faced moments of doubt, days when the weight of her past threatened to pull her down, but with guidance, encouragement. In her own inner strength, she learned to overcome them. She discovered that resilience wasn't just about surviving. It was about growing, learning, and daring to hope even when the world seemed against her. The billionaire in turn found himself changing. He had spent decades in a world defined by business and money. But Lily's presence reminded him of the deeper values of life: compassion, patience, and human connection. He realized that true success wasn't measured by wealth or accolades, but by the positive impact one could have on another life. One evening, as they sat together in the shelter's common room, Lily turned to him with a thoughtful expression. Do you think I can really be someone important? Someone who changes lives? He looked into her eyes, seeing the determination there, the spark that had drawn him to her in the first place. Yes, Lily, I don't just think it, I know it. You have everything it takes to make a real difference. Never forget that. Her heart swelled with hope and gratitude. She had begun to believe in herself, to imagine a future where she was more than her past, more than her struggles. And in that moment, both of them understood something profound. Their meeting had not been by chance. It was the beginning of a journey that would change both their lives forever. As the night settled over the city, Lily felt a sense of peace and anticipation. She knew the road ahead would not always be easy, but she also knew she was no longer alone. And for the billionaire, seeing her grow, learn, and hope renewed something in him that he had long thought lost the ability to see the world through a lens of possibility, compassion, and human connection. It was a journey neither of them had expected, but one they were now walking together, step by step, toward a brighter future as the seasons changed. So did Lily. Winter gave way to spring, and with it came new opportunities, new challenges, and a growing sense of hope. She had been attending school for several months now, and her confidence had blossomed in ways even she had never imagined. Her teachers admired her determination, noting how a girl who had once been invisible in the world now had a quiet strength and curiosity that inspired others. The billionaire continued to visit her regularly, often taking time off from his busy schedule just to spend a few hours with her. They would walk through the city, exploring small corners and parks that Lily had never seen before. He showed her how to observe the world, to notice small details, and to appreciate moments that might otherwise go unnoticed. These walks became a ritual, a space where they shared stories, dreams, and laughter. It was not only a period of learning for Lily, but also for him, as he discovered a new dimension of life he had rarely experienced. One afternoon, as they sat on a park bench surrounded by the blooming flowers of spring, Lily looked thoughtful. "Do you think people like me can really change their lives?" she asked quietly. There was a hint of doubt in her voice, a lingering echo of the years she had spent surviving alone. He turned to her, his eyes steady and kind. "Absolutely, Lily. The past doesn't have to define you. You have the power to shape your future. Every choice you make, every effort you put in, moves you closer to the life you want. You're capable of so much more than you realize." She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. They had become a source of strength for her, a foundation she could build upon. She realized that her past hardships, while difficult, had made her resilient, resourceful, and strong. These qualities, combined with the guidance and opportunities the billionaire provided, opened doors that she had never dreamed existed. The billionaire also began to take a more active role in her education. He introduced her to tutors, mentors, and professionals who could guide her in different areas of knowledge and skills. From mathematics to literature, from art to public speaking, Lily had access to resources that allowed her to develop holistically. She flourished under this support, eager to learn and grow. She started writing short stories, drawing illustrations, and even creating small projects that reflected her observations of the world around her. One day, while working on a project in the shelter's common room, she asked the billionaire a question that had been on her mind for a while. "Do you ever regret helping me?" she asked softly, unsure of what the answer might be. He smiled gently. "Never, Lily. Helping you has been one of the most meaningful experiences of my life. You've reminded me of what truly matters: compassion, connection, and the difference we can make in someone's life. And seeing you grow and thrive gives me a sense of purpose that no business deal ever could." Lily's heart warmed at his words. She realized that the relationship they shared was not just about receiving help, it was mutual. She inspired him just as much as he inspired her, and together they were creating something remarkable. Over time, Lily began to build friendships with other children and teenagers at the shelter. She discovered the joy of camaraderie, the simple pleasure of sharing stories, helping others, and being part of a community. She learned that kindness and empathy could extend beyond the billionaire's guidance. She could be a source of support and encouragement to those around her. This realization filled her with pride and a sense of responsibility. As the months progressed, the billionaire noticed a shift in himself. The routine of visits, mentorship, and shared experiences had become a highlight of his life. He found joy in watching Lily succeed, in celebrating her small victories, and in witnessing her grow into a confident, capable young woman. The bond they shared was no longer just one of benefactor and recipient. It had evolved into a genuine friendship, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. One evening, as they walked through the city after a long day of school and visits to the library, Lily paused near a small fountain. The water sparkled in the setting sun, reflecting the colors of the sky. She watched it for a long moment before speaking. "I never thought life could be like this," she said softly. "I used to think it would always be about surviving, about struggling just to stay alive. But now, I feel like there's so much more." He nodded, understanding the depth of her words. "Yes, Lily. Life can be about surviving, but it can also be about thriving, dreaming, and creating. You've taken the first steps, and now it's time to keep moving forward. There's a whole world out there for you." She smiled, feeling a sense of hope she had never known. For the first time, she believed in the possibility of a future where she was not defined by her past, but by her choices, her efforts, and her dreams. She realized that the billionaire had not only given her opportunities, but had also taught her to believe in herself. The billionaire also began to think about long-term plans for Lily. He wanted to ensure that her progress continued even if he were not always present. He arranged for scholarships, mentorship programs, and future educational opportunities that would allow her to continue growing and learning. His goal was not to create dependence, but to empower her to become independent, self-reliant, and confident. One day, as they were sitting in a quiet corner of the shelter, Lily looked at him with a serious expression. "Do you think I can really make a difference in the world?" she asked. He looked into her eyes, seeing the determination and hope that had grown within her. "Yes, Lily, you've already made a difference in my life, and I believe you can do the same for others. Remember, even small acts of kindness, courage, and effort can create ripples that touch many lives. You have the ability to inspire, help, and change the world, one step at a time." Her heart swelled with emotion. She realized that her life had shifted in ways she had never imagined. She felt a growing sense of responsibility to use her experiences, knowledge, and skills to help others. She began to dream not just for herself, but for the people around her, for those who, like her, had faced hardship and struggle. As the year progressed, Lily continued to excel in school, develop her talents, and build meaningful relationships. The billionaire remained a constant presence, guiding her, encouraging her, and celebrating her achievements. Their bond had grown stronger, rooted in mutual respect, trust, and a shared vision of what life could be. The journey was not without challenges. Lily faced moments of self-doubt, setbacks, and reminders of her past struggles. But with each obstacle, she grew stronger, more resilient, and more determined to succeed. The billionaire's support, combined with her own inner strength, helped her navigate these challenges and emerge more confident and capable. Through it all, they both realized that their meeting had been more than chance. It was a turning point, a beginning of a journey that would shape both their lives. Lily had found hope, guidance, and a mentor who believed in her, while the billionaire had discovered the profound impact of compassion, presence, and human connection. And as the spring blossoms gave way to summer, both of them knew that this journey was only beginning. They had faced the past, embraced the present, and were ready to step into a future filled with possibilities, growth, and hope. Together, they had created a bond that could withstand challenges, inspire change, and transform lives, showing that even in a world filled with struggle, kindness, belief, and determination could light the way forward. By the time summer had fully arrived, Lily had grown into a confident, intelligent, and thoughtful young woman. The months spent in school, the support from the shelter, and the guidance of the billionaire had transformed her in ways that went far beyond academic achievements. She had learned not just to read and write, but to dream, to plan, and to believe in her own worth. Her laughter, once rare and cautious, now filled the shelter with warmth and life. She had friends who supported her, a mentor who believed in her, and a sense of purpose that guided her every action. The billionaire watched these changes with quiet pride. He knew that the transformation was not only in her circumstances, but in her heart and mind. Lily had discovered her potential and was ready to face the world with courage, intelligence, and compassion. For him, the journey had also been transformative. He had spent decades navigating the complexities of business and wealth, but Lily had reminded him of the deeper value of life: human connection, empathy, and the joy of giving without expectation. One morning, he visited Lily at the shelter, bringing with him a new opportunity. He had arranged for her to attend a prestigious summer program designed to nurture talented young minds. The program would provide advanced learning in science, literature, and the arts. And it would also give her a chance to meet other ambitious, like-minded students. Lily's eyes widened as he explained the program, a mixture of excitement and nerves sparkling in her expression. "You've worked so hard, Lily," he said, smiling. "This program will give you a chance to explore your abilities even further and prepare for a future you deserve. I believe in you, and I know you can thrive here." She nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. "Thank you. I'll do my best. I won't let you down." He reached out and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've already shown that you are capable of great things, Lily. Just stay true to yourself and keep moving forward. That's all anyone can ask of you." During the summer program, Lily flourished. She immersed herself in learning, eagerly participating in classes, workshops, and collaborative projects. She discovered new passions and honed her talents, realizing that her potential was far greater than she had ever imagined. The confidence she had gained over the past months propelled her forward, allowing her to embrace challenges rather than fear them. The billionaire kept in touch regularly, visiting her during breaks and sending encouraging messages. He continued to guide her, not just academically, but also emotionally and practically. He taught her about decision-making, responsibility, and the importance of giving back. Under his mentorship, Lily began to understand that success was not measured solely by achievements, but by the positive impact one could have on others. By the end of the summer, Lily had grown in ways that astonished even herself. She returned to the shelter with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to apply what she had learned and to continue building her future. Her friends and mentors at the shelter noticed the changes, seeing in her a young woman who was not only intelligent and capable, but also kind, compassionate, and inspiring. One evening, as they sat together in the shelter's common room, Lily reflected on her journey. "I never thought life could be like this," she said softly. "I used to think that surviving was all I could do. But now I feel like there's so much more I can achieve, so much I can give back." He nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "You've come so far, Lily, and this is just the beginning. Your past has made you strong, and your determination will carry you even further. Remember, you have the power to make a real difference in the world." Lily smiled, feeling a sense of purpose that was both exhilarating and comforting. She realized that her journey was no longer just about her survival, it was about growth, learning, and the ability to help others. The lessons she had learned from the billionaire, the shelter, and her own experiences had equipped her with the tools she needed to face life with courage and wisdom. As the months continued, Lily took on more responsibilities within the shelter. She helped other children who were struggling, offering guidance, support, and encouragement. She shared her experiences, showing them that even in the darkest times, hope and determination could light the way. Her presence became a source of inspiration for many, a living example of resilience, growth, and the transformative power of compassion. The billionaire observed these changes with a deep sense of fulfillment. He had set out to help a young girl in need, but the experience had become a journey that enriched both their lives. Lily's growth, her strength, her willingness to give back reminded him of the true purpose of wealth and influence: to create opportunities, foster potential, and uplift others. He realized that the greatest rewards in life came not from material success, but from the positive impact one could have on another person. One day, as they walked through a quiet park, Lily turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "I want to make sure that no one else has to struggle like I did," she said. "I want to help children like me, to give them a chance to dream and succeed." He smiled warmly. "And you will, Lily. You've already begun that journey by being an example, by showing others what is possible. Keep believing in yourself, and you'll continue to make a difference in ways you can't even imagine." Lily's eyes glistened with determination and hope. She realized that her life had been transformed not just by opportunity, but by someone who believed in her, who nurtured her potential, and showed her the power of compassion. She felt a responsibility to carry that forward, to be a source of hope and guidance for others. As the year drew to a close, Lily reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From the cold alley, where she had scavenged for food, to the shelter that had offered safety and support, to the billionaire who had believed in her potential, each step had shaped her into the person she had become. She understood that her past, while difficult, had also given her strength, resilience, and a unique perspective on life. The billionaire, too, reflected on the journey they had shared. He had entered Lily's life intending to help in a small way, but the experience had become a transformative chapter in his own life. He had learned the profound impact of kindness, presence, and human connection. The bond they shared was now unbreakable, built on trust, respect, and mutual growth. In the final months of that year, Lily took her first steps toward independence. She pursued further education, explored new talents, and began planning for a future where she could make a meaningful difference. The billionaire continued to support her, not as a benefactor, but as a mentor and friend, offering guidance and encouragement whenever needed. Their journey had begun with a single act of compassion: a billionaire noticing a hungry girl in the trash and deciding to help. That small act had grown into a story of transformation, growth, and hope. Lily had gone from surviving each day to envisioning a life filled with opportunity, purpose, and the power to inspire others. And the billionaire had discovered the true meaning of wealth, influence, and fulfillment: the ability to uplift another human being and witness the incredible journey that unfolded as a result. As Lily looked toward the future, she carried with her the lessons, love, and guidance she had received. She knew that challenges would continue to arise, but she also knew that she had the strength, resilience, and support to face them. And in that knowledge, she found peace, hope, and a sense of purpose that would guide her for the rest of her life. In the end, the alleyway encounter that had seemed so small, so ordinary, had become the beginning of an extraordinary journey. A billionaire's compassion had ignited a spark in a young girl's heart, and together they had created a story of transformation that would inspire many, showing that even in the darkest circumstances, hope kindness, and belief in human potential could change lives forever. Life continued to evolve for Lily in ways she had never imagined. After completing the summer program, she returned to her shelter with a sense of purpose and determination stronger than ever. She had tasted the world outside her previous life of struggle, and she was eager to continue learning and growing. She had a renewed sense of self, a belief that her life could be more than survival, that she could make a difference not only for herself, but for others who had walked paths similar to hers. The billionaire continued to be a guiding presence in her life. He recognized that her growth was not only about education, but about building confidence, resilience, and empathy. He introduced her to professionals in various fields, exposing her to opportunities that went beyond what she could have imagined. From visiting art studios to attending small business seminars, he showed her that the world was full of possibilities waiting to be explored. One chilly morning, they walked through a quiet part of the city, noticing how some neighborhoods seemed forgotten by time. Lily's eyes widened as she observed children playing in worn-out parks and families trying to make ends meet. She felt a tug at her heart, remembering the years she had spent in poverty. Turning to the billionaire, she said softly, "I don't want other children to feel like I did, struggling and invisible. I want to help them." He nodded, understanding her sentiment. "And you will, Lily. You have the knowledge, the empathy, and the courage to make a real difference. The key is to take it step by step and use your experiences to guide you." Inspired, Lily began volunteering more actively at the shelter. She helped organize study sessions for younger children, shared her own learning strategies, and encouraged them to believe in their potential. She discovered a sense of fulfillment in helping others, realizing that her journey was not only about her own success, but about lifting others along the way. In addition to volunteering, Lily continued her formal education. The billionaire arranged for her to attend workshops and classes that challenged her in new ways. She explored subjects she had never been exposed to before: science experiments, creative writing, history, and even basic business concepts. She thrived under these challenges, her curiosity growing stronger with each new lesson. She began to dream bigger, imagining a future where she could influence the lives of many children, ensuring they had opportunities she once only dreamed about. During one of their regular walks, Lily shared a thought that had been lingering in her mind. "Do you think people like me can truly change the world? Or is it just luck that got me here?" she asked quietly. He looked at her with a steady gaze. "Lily, changing the world is not about luck. It's about courage, effort, and the willingness to act. Your experiences have given you a unique perspective and resilience. The choices you make now will determine how much impact you have. You're not just lucky, you've earned the chance to make a difference." Her eyes sparkled with determination. She understood that her past, while filled with hardships, had equipped her with tools others might never have. She began to see her life as a bridge between those who struggled and the opportunities she now had access to. This realization fueled her desire to create lasting change. As summer turned to autumn, Lily began writing a collection of stories inspired by her life experiences and those of children she met at the shelter. She poured her heart into her writing, capturing both the pain and the hope she had witnessed. The billionaire encouraged her efforts, offering guidance on storytelling techniques and helping her connect with editors and writers who could mentor her. Together, they developed a plan to compile her stories into a book, one that could inspire and empower others. During this time, Lily also began organizing small community events, workshops, and reading sessions at the shelter. She wanted children to feel seen, heard, and valued. She discovered that leadership was not about control, but about empathy, listening, and creating spaces where others could thrive. Each event she organized was met with enthusiasm, and the smiles and excitement of the children reinforced her belief that her life's purpose was becoming clearer. The billionaire watched Lily take on these responsibilities with quiet pride. He realized that the initial act of noticing her in the alley and offering help had sparked a chain reaction far beyond what either of them could have imagined. Lily's growth, her courage, and her determination were inspiring others, creating ripples of hope and change that extended far beyond their immediate circle. One evening, as they walked back from a small event at the shelter, Lily paused and looked at him. "I feel like I'm finally starting to understand who I am," she said softly. "And I want to keep learning, growing, and helping others. I don't want to stop here," he smiled, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "That's the right mindset, Lily. Life is a continuous journey. The lessons you've learned so far are just the beginning. Keep moving forward and don't be afraid to dream bigger. The world needs people like you." Motivated by these words, Lily set her sights on expanding her influence. She began forming networks with other shelters, schools, and community organizations. Her goal was to create programs that provided education, mentorship, and support for children facing hardships. She combined her personal experiences with practical strategies to design initiatives that were not only impactful, but also sustainable. The process was not always smooth. Lily faced challenges, setbacks, and moments of self-doubt. There were times when resources were limited, when people doubted her abilities, or when unforeseen obstacles threatened her plans. But each challenge became a lesson in resilience, problem-solving, and persistence. She learned that success was not about avoiding difficulties, but about overcoming them and growing stronger in the process. The billionaire continued to guide her, offering advice, connections, and encouragement. He reminded her that leadership and impact were cultivated through patience, consistency, and empathy. Together, they navigated the complexities of running programs, managing resources, and inspiring others. Lily's ability to combine compassion with practical action made her initiatives successful and deeply meaningful. Months turned into years, and Lily's influence continued to grow. Children who had once struggled alone now had access to education, mentorship, and opportunities they would not have had otherwise. Lily became a beacon of hope for many, demonstrating that resilience, guidance, and dedication could transform lives. The bond between her and the billionaire remained strong, evolving into a partnership built on shared vision, respect, and a deep understanding of the power of human connection. Through it all, Lily never forgot the cold alley where her journey began, nor the man who had chosen to see her potential when most would have walked past. She carried those memories with humility and gratitude, allowing them to guide her decisions and inspire her to help others. She understood that her story was not just about her own survival, but about creating opportunities and change for countless others. In her heart, Lily knew that the journey was ongoing. Life would continue to present challenges, but she now faced them with confidence, courage, and a sense of purpose. She had learned that transformation was possible, that kindness could create ripples far beyond a single act, and that belief in oneself and others could ignite change in the world. The billionaire watched her continue to grow and thrive, understanding that his role in her life had sparked something far greater than either of them could have anticipated. Together, they had created a story of hope, resilience, and transformation, a story that showed that even in the darkest circumstances, compassion, determination, and human connection could light the way forward. As Lily looked toward the future, she carried the lessons, experiences, and relationships that had shaped her journey. She knew that her purpose was clear: to empower, uplift, and inspire others, ensuring that no child felt invisible or without hope. And in that knowledge, she found strength, joy, and a profound sense of fulfillment, ready to continue walking the path she had begun. Knowing that the impact of her actions could echo far beyond her own life,